You ever sit down to do just one thing, and then suddenly you realize your mind has just taken off? It's on this grand world tour, replaying some conversation from yesterday, stressing about a deadline that's weeks away, or just, daydreaming about literally anything else. That constant chatter, it's something we all deal with. So let's dive in and figure out what is really going on inside our heads. And that really is the big question, isn't it? It's a question that pops up everywhere, from ancient philosophy to Reddit threads today. We're all told, be present, live in the moment, but actually doing it? It feels like trying to hold water in your hands. So why? Why is our default setting to be anywhere but right here, right now? And this just nails the feeling, doesn't it? It's not just you. This quote captures that struggle perfectly. It really does feel less like we're steering our own thoughts and more like we're just hanging on for dear life on the back of a wild horse. So how do we even begin to understand this wild horse inside our heads? Well, the first step is to give this thing a name. And there's a classic metaphor that describes our restless brain perfectly. Let's talk about the monkey mind. Just picture it. A monkey, just ceaselessly, energetically swinging from one branch to the next. That's basically our attention in a nutshell. It leaps from a memory, to a noise in the room, to a worry about the future, to a random thought about what's for dinner. It almost never stays still. And hey, this isn't some personal failing, It's just what minds do. So just how natural is this? Brace yourself for this number. Research suggests we spend about 50% of our waking day with a wandering mind. Half! That means for half of our entire conscious lives, we're not actually focused on what we're doing. We're on mental autopilot. That's just staggering when you think about it. But this isn't just some poetic metaphor. Turns out there's some serious neuroscience behind all this mental chaos. To really get it, we need to pop the hood and look at our brain's default mode, the network that's basically our built-in narrator. And what's so wild is that even when you're just staring at a wall, trying to do nothing, your brain is firing on all cylinders. It's incredibly active. Your brain doesn't just switch off when you're not doing a task. Nope, it just switches over to a different, very, very busy state. And that busy state is run by the default mode network, or the DMN. You can think of this as the hardware that runs our mind-wandering software. The DMN is the part of your brain that's constantly spinning this story of, well, you. It's stitching together your memories, imagining possible futures, and basically building your whole sense of who you are. It's your inner storyteller. So your brain really has two major modes of operation. You've got the externally focused mode, right? That's when you're concentrating on a task. And then you've got this internally focused mode, run by the DMN. And these two are kind of in a constant tug of war for your attention. When one is lit up, the other one usually quiets down. Okay, so this brings us to a huge question. If this inner storyteller, this DMN, is always humming in the background, what's the deal? Is it a bug in our system, or is it a feature? Is it just a source of distraction we need to squash, or is it something essential? This is the daydreaming dilemma. I mean, on the one hand, the costs are pretty obvious, right? An overactive DMN is strongly linked to unhappiness. Research shows a wandering mind is often an unhappy mind. It's tied to anxiety, to getting stuck ruminating on negative stuff. And of course, we all know it's terrible for getting things done when we actually need to focus. But, and this is a huge but, that exact same network is also our creative powerhouse. It's where our best ideas bubble up when we're in the shower. It's how we solve tricky problems when we're not thinking about them. It's how we plan for the future. Without it, we'd lose a massive part of what makes us so smart and creative. So, if we can't just shut this thing off, and we probably wouldn't want to even if we could, what do? Well, this brings us to the solution. It's not about fighting our mind. It's about training our attention. It's about learning to work with the way our brain is wired. And there's this amazing old metaphor that I think explains it perfectly. Imagine a glass of muddy water. If you shake it trying to get the dirt out, you just make it worse, right? The goal isn't to force the mud out. The goal is to just let the glass be still, and eventually all that dirt from our racing thoughts just naturally settles to the bottom. And then clarity emerges, all on its own. And this really gets at the biggest misunderstanding people have about stuff like mindfulness. It is not about achieving some perfectly blank, empty mind. I mean, come on, that's impossible, right? It's about training a skill, the skill of paying attention, of noticing, oh, there my mind went again, and then gently, without judgment, guiding it back over and over and over. And that training really boils down to two core practices. First, there's focused attention. Think of this like lifting weights at the gym, but for your brain. You're building your concentration muscle by focusing on one thing, like your breath. Then there's open monitoring. This is more like being a curious observer, just noticing whatever thoughts, feelings, or sounds pop up, moment to moment, without getting carried away by them. So, what's all this training actually doing to the hardware in our skulls? Okay, let's pop the hood one last time and see what's happening inside the mindful brain, and how this practice can literally rewire us for the better. Okay, meet the brain's air traffic controller, the frontoparietal control network, or FPCN. This network is the flexible hub, the executive in charge. It's the one that decides whether to tune into your inner storyteller, the DMN, or to focus on the outside world. And meditation strengthens this network, making you a much more skilled pilot of your own mind. Now, one of the coolest benefits of having a stronger FPCN is that it reduces what scientists call mental stickiness. You know, that feeling when a worry or a negative thought just gets stuck on a loop in your head? It just eats up all your energy. Well, this training helps you get unstuck way faster, letting you release those distractions and free up your focus for what really matters. All right, so this brings us to the grand finale, the big goal of all of this. And maybe surprisingly, it's about much more than just living in the present. It's time to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. And here it is, the key takeaway. The objective isn't to silence your mind's storyteller forever. It's to build what's called cognitive flexibility. It's the ability to choose where you put your attention. It's about being able to let your mind wander and be creative when it's time to brainstorm, and then being able to reel it in and focus deeply when it's time to execute. So at the end of the day, it's not about starting a war with your own thoughts. It's about building a new, more skillful relationship with them. It's about learning not just what to think, but how to think. So the real question I'll leave you with is this. Are you the conductor of your own mind, choosing the music? Or are you just a passenger along for the ride?